The most dangerous phrase in any language is "we've always done it this way."
Today I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Brazil emerging as the new epicenter.
I'm just trying to make decisions to live my life.
And just like that, the world seemed to stop spinning, and we focused on what we called essential services: hospitals, markets, shipping, the services that keep us alive. But what are we staying alive for? In such a time of despair, we turn to art, music, poetry, comedy, film to get us through this quarantine. But what do we do when creativity is canceled?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel really anxious because when you don't know how society is going to shift, it makes it really difficult as an artist to be able to adapt and make sure that your art can still function within these new parameters. Specifically for me as a dancer, it's all about people coming together.
My specialty was working with older adults with dementia. So when COVID happened, like all that work ended.
Yeah, I was definitely nervous that people would resist being taught and trying to build community online. And some people certainly have. I am afraid that I'm losing people who really need it because they can't jive with the internet experience.
We turn to artists to heal us during times of crisis. But what if the healer herself is sick?
My first symptoms were just scratchy throat, a little bit of a cough, nothing major, nothing that I would even pay attention to in normal circumstances. I started to have trouble breathing in and out, kind of like someone was like squeezing my lungs. And I did an online diagnosing screening. They told me that I didn't have coronavirus. Two days later, then I started having a fever and I started feeling worse, and I was very, very tired and just weak. And then I did another online screening, and that time they told me that I likely have coronavirus and to self-quarantine.
If the arts are so vital in order to heal during a pandemic, then are we helpless? Or can creators get creative with how they get themselves out there? Can they pivot and still make it work? Can performers go from live audience to live stream?
Coronavirus.
As COVID shut down our dance studios, open mics, comedy clubs, art galleries, performance venues, creators across the world had to ask themselves, how do we go from live audience to live stream?
So one of the gigs that got canceled for me, which was one of the biggest gigs, was that I got to be a headliner on one of the stages at the Panama Blues Festival. And literally 5 days before we were to board the plane, we were told it was canceled. That was a big upset. This pandemic has been a tough one. During this pandemic, I've learned a lot about myself. I also took time to just look at my business and see where I can tweak things and make things better. Sometimes we need to just press the reset buttons in our lives, and we were forced to reset, which caused me to look at things, and I'm hoping for a better future with my companies.
My friend, Patrick Hakeem!
First of all, my business is not pandemic proof. I learned that. Comedy is being canceled. Yeah. How do I get myself out there? I don't. I don't care for Zoom shows. I know a lot of people are doing them, but for me, if I can't have the aggression of a live crowd and that energy, it's not stand-up comedy to me, so I'm okay. I would totally respect that people are doing that, and that's okay. But right now, I'm on hiatus until things get back to normal.
It's too much laughter from you, sir, in the back. Stereotypes, am I right?
How can you say how this would be long term? You know, I imagine what would be a horror show would be me doing comedy in a mask while people are in an audience and they're wearing masks and they can't see my face, and it's like super weird. That's pretty much, but I have no idea.
Some creative ways that I've always done, but now thanks to COVID, I like really embraced to look out more for, is partnerships that you can do with brands. I did the second week of COVID, I think I did a steam whistle, Livestream performance. I've always done brand deals like that, but the trick with that is to really look for brands that like are applicable to you, not just like, you know, some brand that you like think about it. I think another layer of self-awareness that came from COVID is like to build on your patience and to not necessarily need the live aspect of a show to give you that energy that you need back in order to keep it going. Now's the time we gotta be strong. Now's the time we gotta be strong. I think the effects long term are probably going to be a lot more sustainable live stream or remote gigs getting offered to musicians. I think the way that brands leverage entertainment is probably going to shift. That's like primarily the space, because those are the two benefactors, and just follow the money. Now that you got some time, you go within, taking control of your mind. It's time that you did. Don't lie in a spot of better lies. That's all on the web. Deep breaths.
So, I'm an artist in the time of COVID, so what do you do, right? I found myself kind of wanting a creative outlet. No more auditions, no more, my movies that were supposed to come out this year, they're being delayed, so I found a way to kind of divert my creative energy. Had no choice, really. I just tapped into something I could do on my own and get into the production aspect. I created an online radio station called Sexy Black Radio. I'm really proud of it. I do live hits on there, and I've curated some great music, and the vibe, the response I'm getting from people has been absolutely fantastic. It's been a lot of fun.
Here's how COVID-19 struck us. Just a quick little backstory. We are a talk show that shoots in the same way that a talk show would. We have a monologue joke and a guest and a comedian. We shoot it all in one take, all the way through. The difference is we do it all in 10 minutes. It's real brisk, real fast. We were shooting at Corner Comedy Club, which is in Toronto here, and that room is real small. That room is perfectly tiny for our tiny show. We couldn't shoot there because it was too close proximity. So the first thing we did is we saw that all the comedians that were coming on our show, a lot of them, their schedules dried up. They were looking at their planner for the gigs for the next few months, and everything just evaporated. How can we do something to maybe help out? So we started a GoFundMe, and we did 10-hour talk show. We did a basic telethon here in my basement, just right over there, in 10 hours of just having guests come in and Instagram Live. We were just shy of $1,000, and then we let it go on, and we put the word out, and we said, you know, we're going to continue this GoFundMe page, and if anybody wants to support the comedy community while their work is dried up, you're welcome to contribute. And the word got out to some big names, and we ended up getting making $31,000, $31,000. I mean, it's unreal. Maybe even 50 people who have received grants from this GoFundMe initiative, which is great. So we're pretty excited about that, and it's going to live on until the end of September. So hopefully things will be getting back to normal, whatever normal means. In the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other, right? Yeah.
What advice would you give yourself before COVID?
Live. Continue living life and rest. I think it's very important to refresh our minds and our bodies before we do the work that we love to do.
Oh, get a fucking haircut. Look at this.
Focusing on what actually matters and leaving aside the things that maybe didn't matter after all.
Just don't trip.
I think that you have to not know how things are going to go. I think you have to just stare into the void and hope for the best.
Live audiences will come back. But one thing's for sure, Livestream is going to be bigger than ever. We've only begun to see how live technology can connect creators with audiences around the world. Many of the changes that occurred during COVID will fade away as the world slowly reopens. But for some of us, we never want to go back to the way it was.